It definitely hasn't been like 2 weeks since I recorded. Definitely not. Don't worry about it. Anyways, when you see a maid with her hands empty, call out to her. That's a line from an old movie I saw once. Basically means that a capable maid should be kept busy at all times. Excluding the bridesmaid, whose main responsibility is getting drunk at her friend's wedding, the essence of the maid is service. Her job is to anticipate her employer's actions and needs, then take care of the dirty work in advance. This generally involves tools of some kind, so a maid who isn't carrying anything tends to be idle, underemployed maid. You can apply the idea to other occupations as well. A good soldier always carries a well-maintained rifle, and a diligent student always should have a reference book or two on their person. I think that makes sense. In some cases, the opposite may also be true. As I've just discovered, there are certain maids who catch your attention when their hands are full rather than empty. The maid in question, Komine Sachi, as of fairly recently, my classmate. Oh no. Why does she have a bat? Oh no. Just yesterday, we sat at our desks in the same classroom, pursuing our studies together. Now here she is walking in my direction, dragging a metal bat roughly across the floor. In this country where guns and bladed weapons are strictly prohibited, this is about as suspicious as it gets. Shows the scene to 10,000 Japanese, I think everyone would mistake her for a dangerous person. And of course, I don't actually have any proof that assumption would be that assumption would be a mistake on their part. Maybe she really is planning to burst into someone's room and launch an attack. So who's the target? Unable to suppress my doubts, I call it to Sachi with the question foremost in my mind. She turns to face me with a blank expression of confusion. Her nonplussed face is enough to confirm that our suspicions were unfounded. My interrogation proceeds to the next logical point of inquiry. What's the metal bat in your right hand?
Mizumo-sei desu.
A Mizumo.
Mitsumo desu.
Wasn't asking for the brand, and your pronunciation was fine the first time.
困りました。私、風見さんの質問の意図がわかりません。
I just want to know why you have that metal bat in your hand and what do you intend to use it for.
なるほど。そういう質問だったんですね。
Oh, okay. Closing her eyes, she nods in satisfaction at resolving the puzzle. As if I were having this conversation with someone from Ichigawa, we would have gotten to this point in 2 seconds or less. Communication between students, as you can see, is a comparatively involved and troublesome process.
この金属バットは、みちる様に頼まれて教室のロッカーから持ってきたんです。
Okay. Michiru asked for that. She planned to challenge Sakaki to a duel or something.
それは聞いていませんけど。
Tradition inside the hierarchy of the community is established very quickly. For those determined to move up the ladder, single combat is a fairly common means of advancement. Perhaps it's a good opportunity to witness such a moment of struggle. Mind if I come with you? He just wants to watch a fight.
私は構いませんけど。
Alright then, let's go. I feel like he's just trying to instigate. When we reach Michiru's room, Sachi knocks lightly on the door. Password? What?
山、川、ブルマ。よし。
I'm glad you guys established something there. With this brief cryptic exchange of words, the door swings open.
よくやってくれたわね。
The next moment, a shock of distinctive bleached cold hair springs up towards me. I don't remember doing anything warranting a hug from you, actually.
なんでユージがここにいるのよ。途中で風見さんと会って、みちる様のところに行くと言ったら、ついて行ってもいいかと言われたので。なんで？
Why not? Just felt like seeing you be true. He lied as easily as he breathed.
そんな見えすいた嘘に、私は騙されないわよ。その割にはまんざらでもないって顔をしています。そこは拾わなくていいところよ、サチ。すみません。
So, what exactly are you planning to use a metal bat for?
それは乙女の秘密ってやつよ。男のあんたなんかに教えられるわけないでしょ。
Yeah, I feel like we learned about that not too long ago. That whole discussion about pleasuring yourself. I'm just gonna leave it at that. Does a metal bat have any female-specific applications?
それじゃあありがとう、サチ。このお礼は必ずするから。
Where did that star appear from? With this exchange, Michiru quickly retreats back into her room, and Sachi starts to walk off with a satisfied expression on her face. Sachi, aren't you interested in what Michiru plans to use that bat for?
私の仕事はただ頼まれたものを届けるだけですから。
You know, I can appreciate your discretion. Just, you do your job, you don't ask questions. I mean, that's a loyal servant right there. I see. True, demonstrating the discretion to refrain from acquiring in the circumstances of your clients is a vital step forward establishing trusting business relationships. Sachi seems to view her responsibility as a class representative from an admirably professional perspective. Impressive, Sachi. You've exceeded my expectations again.
ありがとうございます。
I love how that's like her idea of flirting. Watching Sachi's face flush slightly red, I continue with my questions. So what's on next on your schedule?
次は中庭の花壇にお水をまこうと思ってます。
Okay, that sounds fun. I've been wanting to start like a garden per se. Is that also part of your job as a class rep?
クラス委員の仕事ではないですが、以前学園長さんに枯れない程度に水をやってもらえると助かると言われたので。
Ah, so it was a suggestion, and you took it as gospel. Okay, I see. Seems that woman's been saving on labor costs by relying on volunteers for simple maintenance work. I mean, I feel like that's kind of a Japanese thing. Like, don't they kind of help out by cleaning their classroom and in their school and things like that? I feel like the garden is a part of that, so that doesn't seem too weird to me. Next time you see the principal getting ready to push work on you, I think you should tell her the following. Come back after you fix that habit of baby talking to your pets.
わかりました。
Oh no, she's gonna actually do it. Also, one more request. Would you mind if I continue observing you work for a while?
はい。私は別に構いませんけど。
Is this the Sachi episode? Something the matter.
その私を見ているだけだと風見さんが退屈なんじゃないかと。
No worries on that front. I've already been entertained enough to last me for a while. She tilts her head to the side in a gesture of pure bewilderment. The more time I spend around this girl, the more I realize that she's a natural airhead. The type so oblivious that she doesn't even realize she's missing out on everyone else's jokes. Alright, that's that. Don't mind me. I'll keep out of your way.
はい。
I feel like most of the girls in the school are kind of airheads in some way or another. Puzzle pieces. So there's a puzzle we have to figure out with her. We're getting the pieces together, but we gotta puzzle out her backstory here. Alright. Upon entering the courtyard, Sachi immediately begins watering the rows of flowers. You forget the strange fact that it's taking place in a Japanese school. The little scene of a maid caring for the flower beds is truly picturesque. Are those purple flowers verbenas?
はい。
I totally
熊
mispronounced
つ
that.
づ
I'm
ら科の
sorry.
多年草で、日本では美女桜って呼ばれたりしています。
Perennials of the vervain family. The Jozakura? Pretty knowledgeable.
詳しいまではいかないですけど、枯らさない程度に最低限のことは調べました。
Did a certain amount of research. I see, you're a diligent one. All of a sudden, Sachi stops moving her watering can. She bends down and opens the flower's bulb with her hand, carefully examining it.
こ
Something
の子
wrong?
の葉っぱ、白くなってます。
Is that good? Crouching down next to her to take a look, I quickly understand why she's so concerned. One of the flower's petals is almost entirely covered in white, as if someone's dusted it with powder. Looks like flower disease. My word, Sachi looks at me with eyes full of anticipation. So it wasn't good. But we got points for knowing what it was. That doesn't mean it's become edible. It's more commonly known as powdery mildew disease. You see it a lot when you're growing wheat or grapes.
そうだったんですか。
It's caused by a parasitic fungus, so the most effective response would probably be using chemical fungicides on the affected plants.
殺菌剤。
You ask the principal, I'm sure she'll get some for you. What is it? Something on your mind?
風見さんの方こそ花のことに詳しいなと思って。
He really is. I wonder, like, what application he would have needed to know that for. Somebody told me to read books. I've just been following these orders. After a while, a lot of random trivia just accumulated in my head. It does come in handy every so often. Sachi doesn't respond to my words verbally, but her smile seems slightly brighter than usual. Now it's a checkerboard. So we had puzzles and checkerboards. Seems to be like kind of board game-esque. Hmm.
おトイレです。
We're going to the bathroom.
はい。
Conversation comes to an abrupt end. We walk on in silence. After a little while, we arrive in front of the girls' bathroom. Sachi, mind if I stop you for a second here?
なんでしょう。
If we take another step forward here, I'm going to be trespassing in the girls' bathroom.
そうなりますね。
You don't have a problem with that.
私がどうというよりは、
I would say they're pretty relevant.
もしその現場を他の誰かに見られた場合、風見さんの信用を著しく損なう恐れがあると思いますけど。
As if it hasn't already. Seems she at least understands that a man entering a female restroom is generally considered unacceptable. Is not generally considered acceptable. We're back to the puzzle pieces. Interesting. Next up is cleaning the grand bathroom.
はい。この時間帯にお風呂に入ろうとする人は少ないので、いつもこのくらいに掃除をすることが多いです。
What do you mean? This would be the best time to enter the bathroom. Look, like the sunset back there. You got the ocean. Like, I would be here every day. Planning to do it by yourself today as usual.
そうですね。私は分身したり、自分そっくりのロボットを作ったりする力は持っていないので。
I like how those are your two options to like help you clean the bathroom. You know, not having somebody else do it. Just like it has to be a clone of yourself or a robotic clone of yourself. I don't think I can help you on that front myself. That said, she could at least try asking one of the others for assistance once in a while. That's what I'm saying. If he has something to do with her firm set of beliefs about her responsibilities as class representative. I also appreciate that they made a sound effect for her being in the bathroom, you know, because it would be kind of echoey in here. While pondering the matter, Sachi has already calmly begun her work. I don't know if you can, though, but I would want to open one of the windows. I would want, like, the fresh air coming in as I'm in the hot bath. Like, this would be, like, a dream come true right here. After stopping the hot water that's constantly trickling into the oversized bath, she begins to lightly rinse the other areas of the bathroom using the shower head. From the quick, confident movement of her hands, it's obvious she's repeated this procedure many, many times. It's pretty clear that Michiru and Amane helping is a rare event. I think she's effectively been cleaning this place all by herself for a long time now. Since I did tell Sachi I'd stay out of her way, it was my intention not to interfere with her work as much as possible, but just standing here and watching as my classmate does manual labor feels pretty awkward. Hey, Sachi.
はい。
This is just an offer, but how about I help out as well?
でも、ここの掃除は風見さんが頼まれたわけではないですし。
I have a feeling it's not yours either, but you've just kind of taken it on, so... I'd like to help as long as I wouldn't get in the way. What do you say?
そうですね。風見さんはどことなく不思議な力が使えたりしそうな雰囲気があるので、その力を駆使して手伝っていただけると助かるかもしれません。
Okay, I don't know about that, but I can at least, you know, get on my hands and knees and scrub some things. Fortunately, I don't have any supernatural skills, but I do have some confidence in my basic physical capabilities.
わかりました。では、体力を駆使してよろしくお願いします。
Sure. Okay, let's get down to it. Your orders. What's wrong?
実は私、人に指示を出すのがあまり得意ではなくて。
I see. In that case, you want me to give the commands.
はい、その方が助かります。
Got it. Well, we're dividing the bathroom to two halves. Sachi, continue to work on that area from the entrance to the right wall. I'll assume responsibility for the left half. Our objective will be to finish the work in 15 minutes. Is that acceptable?
Yes, sir.
Good response. I don't know, would you guys find it at all surprising, for those of you who haven't played before, if Sachi ended up being something to do with the military as well? I could see that. Because, like I said, I'm still waiting for bigger plot reveals. I feel like those are going to happen at some point. Because y'all wouldn't recommend me something that has, like, this kind of character that's involved in the military, and then nobody else is involved in that kind of lifestyle, right? Or at least they don't get wrapped up in it at some point. I feel like all the characters have a deeper layer to them in some regard, whether that's trauma in their past, maybe their backgrounds. We learned that they have money too, so that could make for an interesting angle. I feel like Sachi, of all people, would maybe have some military experience, but I don't know. Also, I love this nighttime view. This is probably my favorite location so far that we've been to. I absolutely love the views from this bathroom, and that tub looks so good. Having completed the division of labor, I quietly moved my brush along the tiled floor, precisely imitating Sachi's movements as I observed them earlier. Throwing yourself into a mindless task like this every once in a while isn't such a bad thing. Helps maintain your ability to concentrate. I don't know, is this bad? But like, whenever I was working at a job, I loved doing just kind of the mindless tasks. I liked having something just straightforward to do that I didn't have to think about. Let's out a small cry, and there's a sound of something toppling over. When I turn around, I find Sachi sitting on her backside on the bathroom floor. She seems somewhat dazed. You plan to clean the floor with your clothes instead of the brush. Oh no. That was a joke. A gesture that's growing increasingly familiar to me. Sachi nods her head vigorously several times. Seems to be a sign she's absorbing a new idea. Oh no. So first things first, any injuries? We met with you. It's not a problem. Let's continue the job. Reach out my hand to Sachi as it budged from the bathroom floor during this conversation. After helping Sachi to her feet and confirming she's alright, I returned to my own work. Whew. Seriously, the more you look at this gigantic bath, the more it seems out of place in a student dormitory. It's sizable enough that even a grown man would likely get tired trying to clean it alone. Oh, bless you. Then again, this academy is dramatically over-equipped in nearly every aspect, considering the tiny number of students currently enrolled here. I wonder... So, I know we kind of intentionally wanted to go to a school, and this just kind of happened to be an option that would accommodate, you know, our weird situation and personality. I wonder if it's a social experiment. You have one guy and a bunch of girls. I have not seen any other staff members besides the principal. I'm not saying they don't exist, but they tend to just focus on an entirely girl cast other than us. Seems like a social experiment, maybe to get us together. One area where they show moderate restraint is the small faculty. Even then, every class is led by a lecturer with special expertise in that particular field. Okay, so there is other teachers. They don't really focus on them, per se. I wonder if they're all females, though. Since the school was basically built by Sakaki's father... Did we know that before? If it was mentioned before, I've totally forgotten, so... I guess you can think of it all as one big toy he bought for his daughter. Either way, the economic inefficiency of this place really isn't my problem. I think it does have something to do with the bigger story, though. What's with the chirping? Do you have a sparrow trapped in here? So, remember how I was worried about her getting weird ideas? She got a weird idea. When I turn back in search of the wayward songbird, I find Sachi in an inexplicable state of undress. Hey, at least she has clothes on, okay? I will accept this. What on earth are you wearing? No bra on as well, so I think underwear would be a more precise description. No, see, I was trying to ask you why you've taken off your maid uniform. So you wrapped your uniform around the head of a brush and started dragging it across the floor. I know exactly where this idea originated from, and I don't like it. And I knew something stupid was coming. Her clothes brush is contacting more of the floor at once than a standard version, but it's more than a little dubious about how effective a cleaning instrument is. Well, the fact that this is going to ruin your maid uniform in many ways is probably one reason not to. In exchange, you're standing around in your underwear in front of the member of the opposite sex. Any thoughts on that?
ダメって。
I'm not familiar with the language of the sparrows.
ダメでしょうか。
Well, not for me. I'm not the sort to complain about a free show.
それなら問題ありませんね。
The other words are out of her mouth. Sachi gets back to work, completely nonchalant. Things have got more troublesome all of a sudden. May not be any major problems at present, but if Amane were to walk in right now, I think there's a good possibility to get dragged into interrogation, even lengthier than the one that followed the JB incident. Oh, hi, Yumiko. At this point, I noticed Sakaki standing frozen just inside the entrance. Why didn't you take a bath in your clothes?
その必要もなくなったわ。たった今ね。
Even as she spits out her retort, Sakaki's suspicious glare stays glued to Sachi and her bizarre appearance.
小峰さん、その格好はどうしたの？風見さんが脱いだ方がいいとお
No,
っしゃるので。
don't say it that way! Hold on, Sachi, there's a number of problems if you're attempting to explain the
じゃ
situation.
あ、本当のところはどうだって言うの？
I'm a prior
あなたには
offender.
前例があるし、返答によっては許さないわよ。
Oh no, I've been labeled a sexual deviant, a pervert. Prior offender. Oh, you're talking about the time she came to school in her underwear. Oh no. Saki reaches into her pocket. I wanted to call her Sakaki. Reaches into her pocket of her skirt and retrieves the usual item. So she carries her self-defense stationary with her even into the bath. A truly cautious individual. Sachi. Oh my gosh, I'm getting dyslexic. Sachi could learn a thing or two from her example. I think I've mentioned this before, but that thing isn't going to work on me. As for the reason Sachi's in her underwear, she decided this would be a more efficient method of cleaning and took off her own clothes of her own initiative.
そう。
Oh wow, that actually worked. Though I offered my explanation fully expecting it to be rejected, Sakaki accepts my words surprisingly easily. I think there's more to that. Seems she's familiar enough with Sachi's lack of common sense and bizarre story like this sounds perfectly plausible. So anyways, the grand bath is reserved for cleaning at the moment. That announcement, Sakaki abruptly turns and walks out of the bathroom, her long hair streaming behind her. And then she immediately just starts cleaning again. As for Sachi, she's already restarted cleaning as if nothing had happened. Females on the school seem to be somewhat lacking in the shame department. Or perhaps my preconceptions don't matter as old-fashioned as wearing a pager on your hip. Maybe this is just the way things are nowadays. Seems like I've still got quite a lot to learn. It's actually really something in a lot of ways.
ありがとうございます。
That was not meant to be a compliment. I have a truly unlimited number of unresolved questions here, but one in particular stands out. Why is it that this girl can strip to her underwear in front of a man without even batting an eyelid, but blushes bright red when you give her anything resembling a compliment? Female thought processes are truly complex. Amen. This way, a day spent in close observation of my classmate comes to an end. Starting the very next day, there's a clear change in my environment. Oh no. She's wearing her normal uniform. Let's go. Is it because you got your other one dirty? Specifically this. Sachi had moved from her usual habitual seat directly in front of the teacher's podium to the desk immediately next to mine. Oh? Not that she started pressing her blubber against me. Oh, okay. I was about to ask if that's meant to be her boobs, and then I read the next word, Amane, and I was like, ah, okay, it all makes sense. She just changed her seat. Not a particularly dramatic event, really.
ねえ、ユージ、これはどういうことなのか、ちゃんと私に説明して。
Say nothing, refuse to elaborate, don't give in to societal peer pressure. I'd like to hear an explanation myself, honestly, but first of all, can you stop interrogating me as if I'm an unfaithful husband? This small change seems to have taken everyone around me by surprise, prompting general curiosity.
まさかあんた、痛いけなサチの弱みを握って席を移るように命令したんじゃないでしょうね。
Deny it. I want my lawyer. Interesting scenario. Where would things go from there?
そりゃいやらしい写真を撮ったり部屋に呼び出してってあんたは は女の子になんてこと言わせるのよ。
You know what, Mitru? That doesn't sound like a bad idea. Maybe I'll do that. Don't remember making you reveal your sick and twisted mind.
ねえねえさっちん、どうしてお兄ちゃんのそばに席を変えたの？
Then there's Machina, has no reserves, just asking it outright. Machina plunges into the heart of the matter. The other two Inquisitors catch their breath in anticipation. Where did I even get the word take?
特に理由はないよ。ただそっちの方がいいかなってちょっと思っただけで。
Hell yeah. I like Sachi. I also think that we've kind of shown an interest in her from day one, because we asked her if she had like a boyfriend or anything, and we took note of that. So I feel like, from a headcanon perspective, I feel like he's always kind of flirted with her. Why exactly would she suddenly prepare this seat? Was nearly walking into a girl's bathroom together that much of a bonding experience?
ねえサチ、それってもしかしてユージのことが好きってことなんじゃないの？みちる様がですか？私じゃなくてサチがユージのことを好きになったんじゃないかってこと。
Having grasped the nature of the question, Sachi closes her eyes in thought.
それは多分違うと思います。そうなの？はい。風見さんが悪い人ではないということは分かりましたが、まだ恋心を抱いたわけではありませんから。
She said, at the moment, we have a chance.
そうなんだ。はい。
I mean, I feel like Sachi would be pretty honest, and that was an honest answer, so I think that must be true. Hasn't changed at all from the day I met her.
早くも振られちゃったわね、ユージ。
Yeah, before I even made my move, that's a new record.
じゃあ、本当になんとなくなの？本当になんとなく。
A slight smile on Sachi's face as she speaks. Pretty confident she's speaking with complete honesty.
でも、まだということは、これから好きになる可能性はあるということよね。
Spent an entire day with her yesterday, but Sachi's thoughts are still beyond my understanding. Seems clear that her opinion of me has undergone a subtle change of some sorts.
小峰さん、少しいいかしら？はい。悪いんだけど少し頼みたいことが。それより赤ちゃん言葉でペットに話しかける癖を直した方がいい。
I forgot about that. Did she just walk away?
どうして小峰さんがそのことを？私、小峰さんに何かした？
Oh, that was so good. I love how that she said that and then walks away. That was gold. Pretty well known the rabbits can die if they get lonely enough. I think a lot of animals don't like to be alone. I feel bad that I currently only have one cat right now, but she doesn't really like a lot of other cats. The other cat I had is now with my mom, and so we had 3 cats, and 2 of them are now in my mom's possession, because the one we got as a kitten, and they lied about the age of it. It got taken away from its mom way too early, and it didn't learn good social skills, so it was really hard to get along with, and he just kind of attacked people, so my mom ended up falling in love with him naturally. She likes broken people, I guess, and ended up kind of getting him to a state where he's somewhat of a good cat. I mean, he still kind of plays and attacks your feet sometimes, but other than that, I mean, and he tries to bite you sometimes. Other than that, he's pretty good, okay? I will say he's come a long ways. So my mom has possession of him and my other cat. They're kind of her cats now. I would just say they're her cats, but so I'm left with the one, but she likes to just be with me anyways. So it's not really a big deal, I think, for her. I think she'd rather be alone. I think most animals that would like to be in pairs, you know? Even animals can get lonely. Might assume that means you should be petting your bunnies at all times, but in fact, excessive contact can stress their nerves badly enough to inspire escape attempts. Moderation is the rule in our interactions with other creatures. The human beings have a hard time finding that balance when we try. All too often, we clumsily misjudge the appropriate distance, or stumble in our attempts to maintain it. Oh no, it's a crisis, guys. Sounds bad, a crisis to be sure. Recess period. Machina pops up noisily before my eyes, then proceeds to grab at my clothes and shake me back and forth. Hold her off with one hand, paying little attention to the specific content of her squawking. Well, I assume you're just babbling. Can't say I'm sensing a whole lot of danger right now. What? Sorry, that was just so random. I didn't know what to think. Can't do anything about my face. Leaving that aside, I suppose it wouldn't do to ignore a global crisis. That sounds way more localized. Pretty dramatic drop in scale, you little punk. That is true. I think Science-Gate would be an obvious example of the things that were happening in their lab had extraordinary consequences. What the hell are you even talking about?
まあ、世界やら世界はともかくとして、私たちの半径1キロ圏内において重要な事柄であることには間違いないと思うよ。
A 1 kilometer radius. Machina is one thing, but if Amane is backing her up, I guess this does warrant my attention.
何の話してるの?
I love how he doesn't consider Machina to be a source of, like, danger, but if Amane says it, oh.
皆さんで集まってどういった要件でしょうか?
Okay, now everybody's just getting involved. I feel this is gonna get out of hand if everyone jumps in the conversation. As I'm about to shoo away the two late arrivals.
それよ!
For some reason, Amane jabs out her finger in my direction and powerfully declares something or other. I'd appreciate if you could explain what it is a little more comprehensively than that.
だからね、その有事の言う全員ってのがそもそもの問題なわけなのよ。
We're missing Sakaki. No idea what this woman is talking about. Does leading a normal student life require the ability to find enjoyment in this sort of vague, meaningless riddle? In that case, I've still got a long ways to go.
ほら、全員って言うには一人足りないでしょ?
We're missing the recluse. She's nowhere to be found. So we're talking about Sakaki. Finally on the same page. I use the word everyone when only 5 of us are here. Amane is suggesting the unconscious exclusion of Sakaki Yumiko from the group suggests a problem in our social dynamic.
そう。こうして休み時間になるとたまに姿を消し、いたとしても本を読んで他人からの干渉をシャットアウト。榊さん、それで本当にいいのって思ったわけ。
Still sticking to my theory about her possibly having some kind of part-time job or some hobby that takes her away from the school. Keep her distance out of her own free will, so presumably this is how she wants it to be. I don't think it's necessarily something we need to worry about.
これまでそうしてきたことが逆に悪循環だったかもしれないじゃない。もっと積極的にコミュニケーションを取れば変わる可能性もあるとは思わない?
I mean, from personal experience, when you start to make a habit of excluding yourself from things, it's hard to want to get back into being a part of a group. There's this fear that now that you've done that, they don't want you to be a part of it anymore. Or you feel like because you've done that for so long that you just can't get back in. I hadn't thought of it that way, but she might be onto something. Sakaki's a human being after all. Much as her box cutter brandishing mischief may stand out, letting those moments of hostility prejudice us, all of our interactions with her means giving up all hope of mutual understanding.
あの女、あれで絶対誘い受けだぜ。構ってほしいくせに周りにチヤホヤされたら迷惑そうに被害者面すんのよさ。多分。
Probably. How'd you reach that conclusion? Do you have any evidence whatsoever?
知らねえ。テンプレだとそうなってんだよ。
Oh, you have a template for this situation. You gonna stop talking now?
そうかもしれないけど、私やっぱちょっと怖いな。何かあるとすぐにギラッとくるじゃん、氷の笑みが。
You know, Mitra's got a fair point here. I mean, this is kind of what the fear is on the opposite end. You know, you feel like you've, as I was just saying, you know, you exclude yourself or you push people away for so long. The moment you like want to like try to change that, everyone's got this impression of, oh, you know, she's kind of scary, and if we offend her, you know, normally she doesn't want to be included, so I would never assume that she does.
はい、そうですね。特にみちる様はその笑みの対象になるケースが非常に多く、私としても心中穏やかではありません。やっぱそうなの。私狙い撃ち。
Probably.
ともかく市場は捨てましょう。
That's gonna be difficult.
私ちょっと考えたんだけど、誰が一番榊さんと仲良くなれるかを競うってのはどうかなって。
A contest.
どんな風に？そうね。例えば、手に触れたら1点とか、服とか袖を引っ張ったら3点とか。
I feel like this is gonna turn into a survival game. Who can not get stabbed trying to do one of these things? Hey, my imagination is just sounding increasingly fishy, also potentially dangerous. That's what I'm saying.
ユミちゃんは髪の毛が綺麗で長いのよさ。じゃあ触れただけなら1点、引っ張ったら3点、抜いたら5点でどう？
Why do you have to pull or yank on it? That's not friendly at all.
切った場合は？おお、攻めるわね。じゃあ切ったセンチメートルかける10点でどうかしら。
I knew a friendly competition was too good to be true. Sachi's definitely gonna win. She's gonna cut off some hair, it sounds like.
なかなかの高得点ね。うひょーい、私が本気を出せばユミちゃんの頭を焼け野原みたいにするのなんて造作もないことなのよさ。
I thought Sachi was gonna be bad. Mocking is planning on cutting it all off. Starting to get slightly concerned. Can we slow this down for a second here? Are you all seriously going to do this? My voice of restraint falls on deaf ears. The rest of the group is getting more fired up by the second. 榊さんが読んでいる本を取り上げた場合はどうなるのでしょうか? Let's see who can get the friendliest with Sakaki. And now it's turning into straight bullying.
それじゃあ100点。でもその本を榊さんの頭にかぶせたら1万点。逆に本に榊さんを読ませたらなんと5万点よ。
What are you guys smoking? Huh?
すごいです。一発逆転のロマンがありますね。
A book reading Sakaki. What does that even mean? Please explain in detail. Was it a surreal gag? Did Amani trip over her tongue in her increasingly frantic excitement? At this rate, I'll likely never know the truth. Bizarre conversation rolls forward, momentum building by the second. You think everyone involved was hitting the peak of a chemical-induced high. That's what I'm saying. Maybe Sachi was cleaning with some weird chemicals in the bathroom and everyone got a whiff of it. Must just be my imagination, but sometimes I think I may have found my way into a fairly deranged excuse for a learning environment.
じゃあ勝負は次の休み時間に。一番榊さんと仲良くなれた人の勝ちということで。
Nothing that you said, literally nothing, was friendly.
よっしゃー。やりがいがありますね。負けないわよ。
You people actually hate Sakaki or what? The enthusiastic group of conspirators doesn't dignify my perfectly reasonable question with a response. Tragically for Sakaki, the next recess period arrives all too quickly.
いいこと？ユージも榊さんにバラしたりしちゃダメだからね。
Alright, we need to go tattling to Sakaki immediately.
お兄ちゃんは得点係だから誰かに肩入れするような行為も慎むのよさ。
I refuse. Oh my gosh, we're going with it. I refuse. To be honest, I seriously doubt this is going to get us any closer to Sakaki, but giving the game away would probably make things as awkward in its own way. So I've adopted the typically Japanese policy of watching passively over the situation from a safe distance. How Japanese of you. Akaki Yumiko, the unexplored territory, the final frontier. What is she, space? Seated at her desk, face buried in a thick book, her body language projects a desire to be left alone. Well, sucks for her.
榊さん、ちょっと今いい？
Suo Amane expedition takes the first daring steps into the wilderness. Her approach appears impressively natural. Woman's something of a skilled actress, apparently. Of course, she could probably be putting that talent to better use than this, but...
私たちね、榊さんがいない間にちょっと話し合ったんだけど。何か陰湿な話かしら。いや、そんなんじゃなくてね。
Sakaki coolly throws out a perceptive question without bothering to look up from her book, prompting a flustered denial from Amane.
私たち、これまで榊さんの気持ちを考えずに接してきたんじゃないかと反省したんです。
No, don't start it off this way. You're gonna make her think you're actually trying to be nice.
それよ。どういう意味？榊さんが望むなら、私たちも榊さんの意向を邪魔しないように、あまりお互いに干渉しないようにしようかなって。
Oh gosh, she's actually kind of flustered by this.
そう。例えば？ねえユミちゃん、今どんな本読んでるのよさ。
Makina tries to snatch the book away from a surprise attack, but is forcibly rebuffed by Sakaki, who's clearly in a state of heightened wariness. Makina clicks her tongue in irrepressible frustration. She'd been gambling on taking the big points without opportunity, but sadly her moment has passed with nothing more than a 1-point hand touch.
約1名、今の話の趣旨を全く理解してないみたいだけど。もうマキナ、あんたまた勝手なことして。すみません榊さん、マキちゃんが急にあんなことして。だからといってわざわざあなたが手を触る必要があるのかしら。はい、万が一のこともありますから念のために確認を。手のひらと指は大丈夫ですね。あと手首。さすがさっちゃん、他人の失敗を自らの得点として引き込むとは。油断ならないのよさ。
Mane and Makina quietly mutter to each other, careful to keep out of Sakaki's earshot. Palm of Sakaki's hand and her fingers are pretty much a package deal, so award 1 point for the pair. With the addition of the wrist, Sachi's jumped into an early lead with 2 points.
もうさっちゃんってば、さっきの話をしたすぐ後にそんなことしてたら榊さんに変な子みたいに思われちゃうわよ。それでどうして私をバンバン叩くのよ。あらごめんなさい、お姉ちゃん間違えてしもたわ。ねえねえ知ってる？向こうのおばちゃんってすぐこうやって人叩くねんな。
Are you calling yourself an old lady?
そう言ってさらに叩くのやめてほしいんだけど。
Something equals 5 points. You should have executed a 5-hit combo, making excellent use of her folksy Kansai girl act. Amane sees 25 points in the blink of an eye. The old lady reference also seems like a clever play, taking advantage of the difference in their ages, but expressing my admiration on this point would lead to a new conflict. Exercise discretion and keep my trap shut.
たまね、こんな風にバンバン叩いたらユミちゃんに失礼じゃないのよさ。こんな風にねえユミちゃん。
I think, prodding the bear comes to mind.
あなたの方がよっぽど失礼よ。
Just when I thought the balance of power shifted to Amane, Makina uses her established thoughtlessness as the cover to launch a new series of attacks, quickly acquiring 40 points. Keeping up with the scoring is beginning to prove challenging in its own right.
あれユミコ、制服のボタン取れてない？あ、いや、なんでもないです。その榊さん。
Sakaki anticipates Misha's approach and brings to a premature halt with her powerful glare. The pseudo tsundere wilts like a potted plant under the desert sun.
あ、確かにボタン取れてますよ。
Damn, okay?
え？
Seizing the moment once again, Sachi deftly plucks a button from Sakaki's uniform, then holds it out for inspection in the palm of her hand.
そう。いえ、当然のことですから。
Sakaki's clearly dubious. In comparison, Sachi's beaming from ear to ear. She's got guts to launch a bold attack like that under such risky circumstances. Are we not going to talk about the fact that she just, like, swiped that so fast? In deference to our dauntless soul of a maid, I mentally award 50 points, bringing Sachi's total to 52. She's gained the lead in a flash.
よろしければすぐにボタンをお付けしますが。勝手になさい。はい、お任せください。ちょっと服を引っ張らないでよ。申し訳ありません。針を通すもので少しこちらに寄っていただけると。
Sachi launches a follow-up attack. Pulling on Sakiki's school uniform earns her 3 points, bringing her total to 55.
それでなぜあなたは反対側を引っ張るのよ。のび太分、バランスよくしといた方がいいかと思ったのよさ。迷惑だったか？はっきりと迷惑だわ。じゃあ元に戻すな。内側に引っ張ったって元に戻らないわよ。
Monkey adds 2 tugs for a total addition of 6 points. With a score of 46, she's hot on Sachi's heels.
あなたたち、一体何を企んでいるの
Sakiki's not completely oblivious. By this point, she's clearly realized that she's become the group's plaything. Her voice has a dangerous edge to it.
もう、そんなことないってば。せっかくの綺麗な髪に白髪ができちゃうわよ。そんなわけないでしょ。ごまかさないで。また触らないで。でもほら枝毛。嘘もつかないで。いや、ほんとよ。ここ。
Mane seems to have discovered a genuine split end. Sakiki falters for a moment, obviously thrown off her balance. Devious as Amane may be at times, I don't think this was planned out beforehand.
別に気にしないわ、この程度は。そういうわけにはいかないでしょ。身だしなみくらいしとかないとズボラでみっともない。
Sakiki attempted to braid the split end in her thick hair, but Amane smoothly intercedes and takes a position behind her. Compared to the clearly unnatural interactions earlier, this is a convincingly normal development. From a neutral perspective, it would appear an action of pure goodwill and friendliness on Amane's part. Accordingly, Sakiki proves unable to offer any firm resistance. 1, 2, 3 touches of the hair. Of course, unbeknownst to her, Amane's racking up points by the second.
うまい。Amaneめ、いいポジションに入り込んだのよさ。
Having won Sakiki's trust for the moment, Amane no longer has any need to employ risky, aggressive tactics. As she slowly and steadily racks up the points, Monkey and Sachi's faces grow increasingly tense with desperation.
何よ。本当に綺麗な髪だと思って。枝毛どうしよう。抜いちゃってもいいの？私枝毛切り持ってるから、私が。わかったわよ。あまねにお願いするからそんなに睨まないでよ。ありがとう、みちる。なんで私だけ。
Michiru, it's painful just to watch you. The girl's thoughts are written too plainly on her face, especially when she's up to no good. Sakiki is going to shoot her down every time. Perhaps this will inspire her to take a good long look at herself. On the other extreme, Amane is already coasting into a leisurely victory lap. Coming through Sakiki's long hair, she snips out split ends with the scissors she borrowed from Michiru. As she's racking up another 10 points of every centimeter she harvests, she's already well into triple digits. Although Sakiki's keeping her expression blank, her reaction to Amane's fiddling with her hair appears to be something like relaxed boredom. Putting aside the points and the silly contest, it seems like they might really might be getting friendlier.
ユミちゃん、決闘しよう決闘。友情が芽生えるまで殴り合おう。お断りよ。榊さん、面白そうな本をお持ちですね。よろしければ私にも見せていただけませんか？不穏だから。いや。
Oh no. Monkey and Sachi tried best to call back into the fight, but Sakiki is on high alert. Their hands are tied. At this point, it's no exaggeration to say the match is all but decided.
終わったわ。みちるも、ハサミありがとう。
Very soon, the chime heralding the end of the recess period will sound. At that moment, the battle will be concluded as well. Sitting comfortably in a commanding lead, Amane refrains from touching Sakiki's hair longer than necessary, bringing the grooming session to a natural end. Long since out of the running, Michiru seems destined to end the match with an inept 0 points. As Amane hands over the scissors, they slip through the dejected Michiru's hands and clatter against the floor. As a side note, Don't get the idea that Michiru's only careless when depressed. This sort of thing happens all the time.
あ、ごめんごめん。大丈夫。あったあった。
Dropping down under the desk, Michiru crawls forward in the direction of the group. Picking up her scissors, she immediately begins to stand up.
ちょっと、そんなところで立ち上がったの？
Michiru's head lunges towards her like the world's clumsiest uppercut. Sakaki instinctively reaches out her hands to defend herself. Of course, in those hands, she's still holding the book she's been protecting all this time. Ah!
あ
In the next instant, Sakaki's frozen in place, her book knocked violently out of her hands and now rests on top of her head. Apparently unable to process the situation, Sakaki stands perfectly still. Sakaki's face is blank with dazed confusion. The hardcover book lies across the crown of her head like some bizarre helmet. Should be a surreal moment. I find myself staring blankly, utterly lost for words. Sakaki's already burst into an explosion of tactless laughter. Money's still trying and failing to contain her own amusement. Such, on the other hand, gazes with some bitterness at the truly astonishing bottom of the knife. Come back. I don't know why it cuts it off.
Eh?
In that moment, the bell echoes throughout the classroom, ending the contest.
結果発表。
At the next recess period, we gather in the hallway in an attempt to avoid Sakaki's notice.
はーい。というわけで優勝はユージ、発表をお願い。
I think you're all well aware already. With a final score of 10,000 points earned by planting Sakaki's book on top of her head, Michiru is our champion.
悪いわね、みんな。なんか納得いかないのよさ。まったくです。悲しいわね、負け犬の遠吠え。でも認めなさい。家庭はどうあれ結果が全て。運も実力のうちってね。
Michiru may have completely nonplussed her victory at first, but upon grasping the situation, she instantly puffed herself up like a peacock. I think it's fairly clear that the girl has a lot of backed-up resentment.
みんなに勝つチルチルなんてチルチルじゃないのよさ。
She's not allowed to win.
はい、ミチル様らしくありません。ミチル様、バランスを取るためにも次の機会はぜひ負けてくださいませ。そこまで言う必要ないでしょ。まあまあ、ええやんみんな。
Money offers the group vague, soothing words in full Kansai dialect.
ところでミチル、最後のあれって狙ってたわけじゃないわよね。もえ？あ、いや、もちろん計算づくに決まってるじゃない。
Michiru's voice rings bold with confidence. Judging from her stilted phrasing, it's most likely a complete lie, but the words nonetheless sound fairly convincing as they echo hollowly down the hallway. The moment everyone else freezes in pure shock with a quick survey of her surroundings, I assume they're why. Don't miss Amane mouthing the word idiot with a slightly smug look on her face either. Her reaction to defeat is to plot revenge, it would seem. Quite a woman.
でもこれで本当にユミコと少しは仲良くなれたのかしら。
No, I think not, sorry.
なんでよ。多分ミチルがもう無事じゃいられないからかな。
You're about to be destroyed.
どういう意味よ、それ。ふん、わざとだったのね、あれ。
With a familiar, ominous sound, the shadowy figure that snuck up behind Michiru mutters a few ice-cold words. The smile on Michiru's face instantly hardens into a rigid grimace. Copious streams of sweat begin to run down her forehead and along her cheeks.
どうして教えてくれなかったのよ。
At last aware of her plight, Michiru squeezes out a few whimpering words of reproach. I'm ashamed to admit it, but I just noticed a moment ago myself.
黙ってなさいって目で脅されててごめんね。可愛らしく言うな。つかまね。あんた分かってて私に聞いたでしょ。てへんじゃねえ。でも安心しました。ミチル様にはふさわしい終わり方でほっとしています。ほっとすんな。一見落着なのよさ。なあ、ユミちゃんも。分かってると思うけど、当然あなたたちも絶対に許さないから。ほら、ある意味仲良くなったと思わない？
Such an optimist, Amane.
私はどうしたら。
Well, probably the same thing as the rest of us. Retreat. Double time.
ちょっと待ちなさいよ。それはこっちのセリフだわ。
This day would go down as the first time in the Academy's history that all of the students were simultaneously absent from a class, but it's said that no one involved dared speak the reason why. Our daily habits become a part of who we are. It goes for everything from the natural routines like washing your face or brushing your teeth to the obsessive rituals like always moving your left leg first when you walk. I know I don't run every single day for some conscious reason. The habit's just ingrained into my personality by this point. Doesn't matter how tired I am. Doesn't matter if it's pouring rain. Doesn't matter if the wind's blowing me all over the road. Even when I get a little sick, I'm out there running like it's a cure for the common cold. 16 kilometers every morning like clockwork. In 1 month, that's 496. In a year, 5,840. When you work it out, I'm running the distance to Singapore annually with change to spare. Pretty respectable distance if I do say so myself. Not that I'm particularly aiming to see the Merlion or try out the famous chicken rice. My itinerary is strictly local. Every day, I make my way to the outer walls of the school, past the shuttered stores of the shopping district, and by a few poorly maintained Shinto shrines. Every day I take in the same coastal scenery. Might sound repetitive, but I don't feel any need to change my standard course. Running a familiar road at a familiar pace makes for better training. That said, my route isn't completely set in stone. For example, if I happen to notice an acquaintance nearby, I sometimes head in their direction. Not that I chase people around town, of course, I just catch up and offer a brief greeting. Just seems like the polite thing to do, especially when they're a school friend of mine. This morning, as I'm following my standard marathon route around the Academy's campus, I catch sight of Matsushima Michiru. I plan to do 3 quick laps around the school before heading towards the station, but Michiru's appearance gives me pause. Even from a distance, her body language is clearly unusual. The way she's trudging along the road with her shoulders slumped, you'd think the force of gravity is operating at double strength in her immediate vicinity. Something seems distinctly off with the girl. Then again, it's still very early in the morning. I don't want to disturb her privacy, better not to call out to her. I make my way through the shopping district and try to think of reasons why Michiru leaves school at such an early hour. She's a little young to be heading to a public park for radio calisthenics, so what's her objective? Ooh, we're getting more views of the town. Let's go. Oh, that's so pretty. I love it. And I appreciate that they animate the water a little bit, too. When I happen to spot the girl for the second time in this one training session, my curiosity proves harder to suppress. This time I'm running towards the coast and I notice her blonde hair dead ahead. She's walking slowly up the same road, her head slightly bowed. At this rate, I'll catch up very soon. When I overtake her, I can just say a quick hello. Michiru abruptly turns off my route. Before I have a chance to say anything, she's vanished down a side path. Having completed my standard 16 kilometers, I return to the dorm as usual. Usually I'd take a shower next, but the uncharacteristic melancholy I could see in Michiru, even from a distance, seems to have left an oddly strong impression on me, weighing on my mind. Classmates, after all. Can't hurt to stick my neck in every once in a while. Only something of an excuse to myself, I wipe the sweat from my neck with a towel, then head back outside the school grounds. I don't understand people who dream about living in a house by the sea. The ocean breeze makes everything rust. The moisture makes it hard to dry your laundry. The seaside town sounds romantic. You probably never lived in one. My wife grew up right by the ocean. I think she more disliked the fact that it was an island rather than the fact that she was by the ocean. Which, if you've ever been to Hawaii, Hawaii is great to visit, not great to live in. Sure, you can come to love your home wherever it may be, but let me assure you there's nothing idyllic about drunken teenagers partying on the beach for months at a time, especially given their tendency to launch fireworks at night. I personally love to visit places that are right by the beach, though. I love hearing the sound of the ocean. I grew up about 2 hours from the beach, so I mean it wasn't right next to me by any means, but it was close enough that I could visit it often enough whenever I did. And if I did stay the night, I really like the sound of the ocean. That's what I tend to listen to at home too as I'm going to bed. I just like the sound. But then I'm pretty sure she's headed this way. Like, don't tell me that wouldn't be a nice sight to see often, you know? I just think something about the ocean. I don't know what it is. The sound, maybe it's the unknown about what's in it. Who knows? There's something captivating. Find Mitra is seated on a high ridge overlooking the sea, aimlessly gazing into the distance. I approach slowly, but she appears oblivious to my presence. Consciously taking loud, conspicuous steps, to no apparent effect, the girl's carelessness exceeds my expectations. She's crumpled herself into a load of laundry, like forgotten in the hamper. Long forgotten. More than anything else, she looks worn out, exhausted even, almost like a completely different person. I can hear the sound of waves in the distance. The sunlight is gentle this morning. The weather fair and pleasant. The location isn't bad either. But if this is an early morning picnic, she's forgotten to bring food. The fastest way to figure out what she's doing here is probably just to ask her, but she doesn't respond to my voice. What's wrong? Waiting to get picked up by the garbage truck? In that case, you've got to correctly label yourself as oversized waste. They can't pick up bottle blondes if you just dump one on the curb, you know? Normally, remarkably, this would be met with an indignant, cryptic shriek of "Mookie" as soon as it left my mouth, but today I get nothing. Just what's going on with this girl. Rapidly review and analyze Michiru's recent behavior. Okay, just what do we have here? Doesn't take long for me to reach an extremely plausible hypothesis. All the pieces fall into place. See, so that's what's going on. Why didn't I realize sooner? Careless. Very careless. Damn. Then I got to grasp the situation, specifically the nature of Matsushima Michiru's bodily distress. Michiru, as your dysentery took a turn for the worse, you should have told me. Why suffer in silence? Okay, first order of business. I need to look at your stool to confirm the progression of the disease. Hurry up, out with it. I feel like we're having this borderline schizophrenic conversation over here. She's just like, what? Where did you come from? I grabbed Michiru's shoulders with both hands, began shaking her vigorously. There's finally a response. I was half convinced she'd fainted, sitting up, but things don't seem to be quite that serious. Good question. Why am I here? What do you think? Michiru may have recognized my presence, but her normal bristly attitude is notable by its absence. Not just that her armor has fallen off, it feels as though she isn't aware of her own state of vulnerability. Why am I here? That would be because I came here, therefore here I am, do you understand? What, is this gonna turn into I think, therefore I am? Either way, that's of little importance at the moment. Produce a stool sample at once. Cut the back talk, maggot. You're the one who ate contaminated food. Here I am kindly offering to examine your stool as a favor to my classmate. This is your attitude. Evacuate your pals at once. What's that supposed to mean? Are you implying my mental picture of you is fundamentally flawed? I picture you in the mountains discovering colorful toadstools. You try to shriek, oh my god, what's this? It's like so cute. Before the so is out of your mouth, it's stuffed full of mushrooms. You're dead seconds later. I feel like his mental image is like that one girl in class of 09. It's like, give me a fry. Let me ask you something. What kind of image do you think your acquaintances have of you? Not at all. You don't want to find one. Why are you running around chasing it in the first place? It's not that I find your explanation incoherent. That image of you lying dead in the forest with mushrooms spilling out of your mouth doesn't seem to be going anywhere. My apologies. Certainly, my impression of Michiru, up to today is pretty similar to her description, a constantly cheerful idiot girl, but today she's got none of the usual vigor, and her soon-to-react has all but disappeared. Women act differently from normal. The most likely cause is that time of the month. Oh my gosh, he went from her eating mushrooms to the time of the month. He's just going from worse to worse. Dealing with a girl going through a difficult age. One must put these questions delicately or it would be awkward to answer. Lower my voice and beg Mitru closer with my hand. Mitru.
何？
She draws her face near. I put the matter to her most genuinely. To her in the most gentlemanly way I know how. Are you menstruating?
違うわよ。そういうこと耳元で小声で聞かないでしょ。
Oh, this is so dumb. I thought it'd be better than shouted, but it seems our opinions differ.
大きな声でも小さな声でも普通は女の子にそんなこと言わないでしょ。
If I don't ask, I'll never understand. Alright then, is it an iron deficiency? It just won't give you anemia, you know? Makes it easier to catch colds as well. There's no reason to stuff yourself with vitamin C like an idiot if you get to balance anything else. You need balance, alright? Balance.
そんなんじゃないわよ。違うもん。具合が悪いとかじゃないの。
So, I've noticed, even though we're talking about, like, and jumping from the stupidest conclusions ever, as Mitru is pointing out, we're just jumping from scenario to scenario. I think in a way this actually does lower people's defenses. Like this kind of gets people to open up to you in a way. As silly as that might sound, I feel like this is his way of trying to communicate. Just with all the girls. Because all the girls are kind of silly in the way they act. Like even if he doesn't intervene, they kind of talk in such weird ways. They get themselves stuck into weird scenarios. So I feel like this is his way of trying to include himself, I guess. And this is his way of kind of communicating with them. If they're going to act silly and weird and ominous, then he's going to kind of do the same to kind of lower their guard, kind of fit in. Hopefully that made some sense. So it's not anemia, not menstruation, not nutritional deficiency. I'm out of ideas. What's actually going on here?
それはそうな。
Fine, even if it feels hard to talk about, you can just throw it at me straight. I've been in the field a long time, and I've seen a lot of things. You're probably not going to shock me.
それはね、あのね、
Yes? What is it?
海を見てたの。
Shocker. You're right by the sea and you're looking at it? Looking at, say
だ
what?
から海を見てたのよ。
The sea. Mishra gives a quick, embarrassed nod, her eyes downcast. Looking at the sea, I ruminate carefully on those words, just what hidden meaning lurks inside the brief, cryptic cipher of a sentence. I know of a certain Japanese organization that refers to its maneuvering grounds as the mountains. Alright, so what would the sea indicate? Nothing comes to mind. She did use the mountains as a password earlier. Sorry, Michu, when you say the sea, what exactly are you referring to?
海は海でしょ。
The sea is the sea, which would make looking the keyword, eh? I assumed you were indicating some sort of special surveillance mission. Was I missing some crucial context?
いやあのね、単純に海を見てたのよ。意味なんてないよ。
What was that? You were literally just looking at the ocean?
うん。
Find yourself, I'm baffled. You were staring at a giant saltwater puddle for no reason whatsoever.
そうよ。何か問題でもあるの？
Of course there is. The first and biggest problem is that you don't see anything wrong with it. Listen carefully. Time is not an infinite resource. You only get so much. The lives are brief. How to make use of the precious time we're given is an absolute essential problem. It's one thing if you never get the opportunity to make your own choices. Some people spend their lives following orders from others. If that's the only path open to you, then you just have to deal with it the best you can. But you, my friend, have the good fortune to be a free human being. And you're choosing to use your time staring at the sea for no reason at all. I find that extremely hard to understand. As your classmate officially requests you produce an acceptable reason for looking at the ocean. Understood?
あのさ、難しく考えすぎじゃない？綺麗だなーって思ってただ海を見てただけじゃない。それでよくない？特別な理由がどうしても必要なの？
I mean, I think that's a perfectly acceptable thing. It's calming. Maybe you're reflecting on something. I see this as a rest and relaxation period then. I don't think it's acceptable unless there's some sort of concrete meaning to your
そう、
actions.
それでいいわよ。海を見てリラックスしてたのよ。
I see. I have to say, you didn't really seem to be enjoying it much.
そんなことないよ。
She squints her eyes against the sea breeze. Her expression belies her words. This explanation seems dubious at best, but then again, I suppose it was foolish of me to expect any coherent, logical basis for this woman's behavior.
風が気持ちいい。
Stand below the vivid, clear summer sky, utterly wasting our time. things are going to continue along these lines, it'd be more productive to return to the dorm now and just read for a while. Nature, my friend, have you considered the possibility of this abnormal desire to view the ocean as the product of some sort of bacterial infection in your brain?
考えられません。
Perhaps there's a kappa in your family tree. No, wait, they live in rivers. Damn, what's this? Let me see your head for a second.
何
Shut your mouth and present me your cranium. Don't give me any trouble.
だってもしかして頭にお皿
Old Michiru's head towards me and quickly pluck out a single hair among her mass of thoroughly bleached blonde locks. There's a single pure black strand.
終わったお皿割った
What? Did the Kappa ancestor ring any bells? Not to worry though, nothing is broken. It's pulled out a black hair for you. Kind of stands out when it's surrounded by a sea of blonde. No matter how much effort you put in, you're probably going to miss a few hairs like this unless you have someone else to take a look for you.
そうなんだありがとう
Got some cucumber bits around your mouth, by the way.
ああそんな冗談ばっかり言ってないで幼児も見てみなよ海を
Oh, pass. Why bother looking at it? It's the same as of yesterday. I think the ocean will get along just fine, even if I don't sit around staring at
いい
it.
から見てみなよほら
Even two were pestering and staring onto the ocean. As expected, there's been no dramatic developments since the last time I saw it.
なんかさ海って大きいよね
The sea may be the same as always, but Michiru is clearly different today. The tone of her voice is strange. True enough, 70% of the Earth is covered in oceans. Huge is a relative concept, but I think this would qualify by the more typical standards of comparison.
そんな風に言うと思ったんだ面白いね
Michiru laughs, inexplicably amused by the simple statement of fact, but the next moment that unusually serious expression is back in her face.
この海に比べたら
Oh, I'm sorry, I
人間
totally
ってち
skipped
っ
that.
ぽけな存在だよね
You know, I've been thinking, compared to this ocean, people are really just tiny, insignificant specks, aren't they?
この大きな海を見てると私の悩みなんてちっぽけすぎて笑えてきちゃうんじゃないかなって
To be
そう
honest,
思うの
I didn't really expect to get like a heart-to-heart with Michiru this episode. That wasn't in my my cards. Michiru brazenly fires off a set of lines you can normally only hear the likes of in the corniest of decades-old, made-for-TV teenage drama fest. If she's not intentionally quoting something, this is about as hackneyed and cliched as it gets.
今私結構いいこと言ったんじゃね
Not as deep as it will get for you. It's more... I don't know why he keeps cutting off the dialogue, if it is. It's where she's not remotely sheepish about her trite words. Fascinating. Maybe I'll take a look inside her head and see how the machinery works. She should clearly got a few screws loose already. Should pop open easily enough. Yeah, maybe it was. Oh my gosh, it's cutting it off again.
いいこと言ったよね5本私の
But in the end, I decide to affirm her statement. It's a fact that humans are only a part of the greater whole of nature. It might be cliche to reflect on the transitory nature of our existence. Doesn't make it any less valid a thought. Right, I know, right? I said something deep. Ahem, my worries. Doesn't mean you need to repeat it. Once is plenty.
何よもう言わせてよね私の悩みなんてちっぽけなものよね
Creature's clearly gotten carried away. Might have been a mistake to give her an ego boost like that. In the end, she's nothing more than an idiot, never getting too satisfied with herself. Too exasperated to even sigh, send Mitra as an expressive glare. Not that I'm confident she'll be able to see the cold pity in my eyes.
ちょっと何見てるの何
Betsuni. Nothing at all.
なんでもないのに見るとか意味わかあ
Oh, looks like the girl's had a sudden flash of insight. Perhaps she's finally become aware of her own foolishness.
そういう意味じゃないからねちっぽけな悩みってそういうことじゃないもん
Mitra babbles on. She moves her arms to hide her tiny chest from view. Look, Mega, I have no interest in your pitiful excuse for Iraq.
見てたじゃないヘッチー目で見てたでしょそれ れに私別にお胸ちっぽけじゃないもん。あるもん。
Nobody mentioned anything about your boobs. Nice body is a term we might use to describe, say, Amane. Any reasonable standard, your breasts are tragically underdeveloped. My condolences.
ちょっとちょっと、なんだよ。残念じゃないよ。全然残念じゃないもん。マキナの方があれだもん。
She's about to start quoting Panic of the Disco songs. Girls in a whole different category. Are you really happy about winning against an outlier like Makina?
嬉しくな。ちょっと嬉しい。
Whereas Dimitri's mouth rise ever so slightly, probably recalling Makina's washboard of a chest and mentally comparing it to her own. What a petty human being. Have you no pride, woman? You might as well gloat about handling your chopsticks better than some tourists from France.
じゃあね、私お胸大きいもん。大きいんだってば。大きいって言いなさいよね。
They're big.
ミチル様のお胸はとっても大きいですって言いなさいよ。
Michiru-sama's breasts are very large indeed.
なんかムカつく。
Just when I think this conversation can't get dumber. Apparently my complete lack of sincerity got across to you, but anyways, sounds like you've cheered up a
だ
little
から
bit.
最初から元気だって言ってるでしょ。私はいつも私なの。
There's a cat. Black cat from the other day appears from somewhere or another, purring loudly. It sidles up to Michiru and aggressively rubs up against her leg. I see, so you came in search of a black cat rather than the blue bird.
そういうわけじゃないんだからね。たまたまですよ。っていうか、この猫初めて見るな。へえ、こんなところに猫がいるとはね。奇遇だなにゃ。奇遇。
What's this cat's name again? Something
名前
like...
なんてないんじゃない？知らないな。
That's right, it's Rommel.
猫にゃです。やめてよね、そんな変な名前でこの子のこと呼ぶの。
Says the person who gave him a weird name.
あ、
As I thought, it's the same animal that was from the school before, isn't it? Didn't know it was
だ
your
から違い
pet.
ます。こんな猫知らないもん。
What, Rommel is an acquaintance of
だ
yours?
から猫にゃだって言ってるで。知らんな。
You're not very convincing.
いいです拾わんといて。
Carton of milk, eh? That's a bit unusual for you.
私が牛乳大好きなの知らなかった？確かにみんなの前では一度も飲んだことないけど、大好きでいつも飲んでるのよ。みんなの前では一瞬たりともそんな素振り見せたことはないけどね。
I see, that's good to hear. If by any chance you've been giving milk to the cat, I would have to stop you.
なんで？
No worries, since you're the one drinking it, there's no problem enjoying.
これは私のだから問題ないのよね。でもなんで？ねえ、教えなさいよね。
Alright, let me break it down for you. Giving a cat milk can upset its stomach badly. If you're that desperate to give it something, you need to dilute the milk with water first.
別にどうしても与えたいわけじゃないもん。
As soon as the words are out of her mouth, Mitra is glancing restlessly around the area. What's wrong? Looking for a source of water, by any chance?
違います。水を探していません。なんでもないの、バカ。ぐるぐるにゃー。
The black cat wraps themselves around Mitra's legs like a fuzzy boa constrictor, then starts to rub the corner of his jaw roughly against her ankle. Looks like it's trying to mark her with its scent. Looks like you pretty much tamed the animal. One can almost get the mistaken impression that he's begging for the milk you always
そ
give
ん
him.
なことないです。猫にゃ。このどこの馬の骨ともわからぬ猫。つまり馬猫は懐いてきてません。
You sure about that? Rommel seems awfully...
だから猫にゃ。いや、馬です。この猫は馬です。
What are you even talking about? No, it isn't. It's clearly a
そんな
cat.
のわかってるわよ。もう。
Apparently giving up on its request for milk, the feline in question sinks to the ground at Mitra's feet and rolls itself up into a ball. Then second it closes its eyes and falls fast asleep. Must have been feeding this thing for quite a while for it to trust you this much.
うるさいわね。別に頻繁に通って餌付けなんてしてないんだからね。これは赤の他人の猫の馬なのよ。つまり赤い馬なの。 だから最終的には石飛ばってことなの。
Could you please try to calm down a bit? You have a bad habit of firing off unintelligible gibberish when you get worked up.
じゃあ馬を撫でて落ち着きます。撫で撫で。
Mitra reaches down and scratches the neck of the defenseless cat with the tip of her fingers. Needle moves its head in time with her strokes in evident pleasure. Then begins to lick at the pink pads on its paws. The cat seems so completely and blissfully relaxed that I half expect it to melt into a contented puddle. Just watching it, I can feel some of the stiffness in my shoulders begin to lighten. It's not good to carelessly let your guard down, but keeping up a state of constant tension is an even worse idea. After a brief glance around the area, I decide to take a moment of rest. Alright, think I'll join him down there for a while. Drop myself to the ground next to Michiru. Flustered, she grabs at her skirt and holds it close, preventing any potential visual access to the interior. Don't be an idiot, I don't have any ulterior motive. You worry about the stupidest things.
下心がなくても見えたら困るでしょう。
Like what, a bit of cloth? Nothing worth worrying about. Michiru's apparently worried about disturbing the cat, now slumbering at her feet, and she's avoiding any large movements. Either way, I truly don't have any secret plans involving her underwear. I just want to sprawl out on the grass and think about nothing at all for a
いい
while.
からあんまりこっち見ないでよね。
It's been a long time since I've laid myself down on the ground and gazed blankly up at the sky like this. Every once in a while I do spend some time gazing at the clouds, but I tend to be thinking things over while I do so. As Michiru says, just looking for no particular reason isn't bad in its own way. But all the blue above me hasn't changed. It looks just as it did when I was a child. I thought the clouds might seem a little closer by now, but naturally, they're the same as they've always been. My perspective may be a meter or so higher when I stand, but that's completely insignificant on the scale. I can stretch my hand up all I want, but it'll never reach the clouds. Roll but chained to the dirt beneath our feet. Let's see, not a bad view. Michiru begins to speak, her tone somewhat
私
troubled.
は空はちょっと怖いんだ。特に夜の空。月が浮かんでいるのを見てると、それが月じゃなくて大きな穴に見えてくるの。
A gash, you say?
空はすんごくでっかい蓋で、そこにある空気穴が月。そう考えると、箱の中に閉じ込められた気になって息苦しくなる。
I've heard of people who get disturbed by the way the moon always seems to follow you around. The world as a giant box angle is new to me.
私にはそう見えるの。だから夜は空を見上げない。怖くなるし、寂しくなる。私が私じゃないみたいになる。
I think I understand you don't look at the night sky in order to prevent yourself from transforming into a wolf, right? Imagine that would be pretty
いっ
troublesome.
そその方が気が楽だわ。狼でもドラキュラでも構わない。銀の銃弾で撃ち抜いてほしい。狙うのはにゃーあ、ごめんね猫に。お腹空いたのかな。それとも眠いのかにゃ。
This weather really does make you want to take a siesta. That said, I haven't eaten breakfast yet, so the timing's a bit
ね
off.
えユージ、変なこと聞くけど変に思わないでね。
Too late. No worries on that front. I've had you down as exceptionally weird for a long
あ
time
の
now.
さ、人って死んだらどうなるの？
Her talking about this after that whole discussion we had about her, I don't know what exactly it is, if she has some kind of disease or some medical condition. Her talking about wanting to die or what happens when you die just seems kind of grim.
待って、起き上がらないで。そのまま寝転がって聞いて。たわいもない話として。
If possible, I'd like to talk about this while observing her face. But if Michiru-sama desires otherwise, I can do naught but obey. Ease myself back onto the grass and listen to her voice.
例えば、ドラキュラは太陽の光で灰になって消えておしまいでしょ。だったら人間は死んだらどうなるの？
We're talking about religious ideology here. You want to hear something about a final moral
そういうん
judgment?
じゃない。もっと普通に 死んだらどうなっちゃうの？
Like about how all the parts of your body like begin to shut down, that kind of thing. Let's see, I haven't died yet, so I can't speak with much authority, but probably
何
nothing.
もないってどういう状態？
Imagine floating naked in a
What?
pure white space. I think you're slightly off. The way I picture it is just going to sleep and then never waking up again.
そっか。眠って起きないのか。
Everyone around you will probably be running around worrying about the funeral, but what do you care? There are many different ways to get to that point, but ultimately I think everyone's just sleeping for
そっ
eternity.
か。そうなんだ。意外と楽なのかもね。
Depends on how you look at it. Anyways, heaven and hell and all that are basically just remnants of moral education from an earlier era. Nobody really takes that stuff seriously anymore. Don't see many people going around walking on water and making magical wine out of it. Of course, it seems God does appear before the chosen few every once in a while. Most often to tell them they need to start up a political
あ
campaign.
の、
Mitra begins to ask something, but stops before the words leave her mouth. After a moment of silence, she starts to speak again. Can't tell whether it's a continuation of her dangling sentences or a completely new
もし
topic.
私が死んだらここに埋めてほしい。
Think a bit ahead of yourself there. Do you plan to die anytime soon?
ないよ。ないけど、もしもの話。だってここは景色がすごく綺麗じゃない？ここから世界中が見渡せそうだもん。こんな場所で眠れるんだったら幸せ。
To be honest, I'm a little displeased to hear a perfectly healthy person scouting out locations for their tomb.
そう固いこと言わないの。ねえ、その大役をユージに任せてあげる。ここにお墓作って。
You want me to dig a hole and bury you in it? Look, in the first place, a grave isn't something you can just make wherever you please. Do you
い
understand
い
that?
の。細かいことはいいからそうしなさい。
Cat's eyes shoot open at the sound of Michiru's shout. Startled, it bounds away like a spring, vanishing in the blink of an eye. Slowly raise my upper body off the ground, brushing off the grass clinging to my clothes.
まったく。あんたにはマロンがないのよ、マロンが。
Why are we talking about lettuce? Oh, I can't believe I said exactly what he said before I even saw it.
栗の話なんてしてないでしょ。何よ、ふざけてんの？猫にゃも逃げちゃったし。
I'm just slowly turning into Yuji, just saying the exact same things he is.
まあ、栗とか言うからお腹空いちゃったじゃない。さあ、それじゃあ朝ごはんでも食べに行くわよ。そこのあんた、私が一緒に食べてあげてもいいわよ。
Michiru's expression has returned to the norm. It's as though the conversation now just never happened. Well, if you're hungry, I guess I can split my beans with you.
豆相変わらず貧相な食生活してるわね。
This girl is always filling up on convenience store box lunches. They're packed full of preservatives.
さよね。それじゃあ今からどっちが先に学校戻るか競争負けたらジュースとかおごれるよいな。
Our little conversation about death took me by surprise, honestly. Not what you expect from a random chat with your classmate, but life is always shadowed by death. The only question is whether you're aware of its presence at your side. Sometimes a man who looked perfectly healthy in the morning goes to sleep and never opens his eyes again. Death can come at any time. Once it does, it's too late to regret the things you've left undone. Morbidity isn't productive, but sometimes we should remember that nothing lasts forever. Nature's words might be significant in their way. Nature calls me from some distance away. Carefree girl. Catch up to her in seconds if that's the extent of her head start. Begin to walk slowly, trying to decide what sort of drink I'll have her buy me. Rookies should stick to moving in pairs. You'd better know what you're doing if you want to work alone. I think that's a great start to another episode, so we'll leave it off here. Anyways, really didn't expect that whole conversation with Michiru. It was very reminiscent of a conversation we had with Makina by the pond that I really liked. It's harder to have more serious conversations with her. I mean, Makina's pretty high energy too, but Michiru is... If Makina is a 10, Michiru is an 11. Let's just say it that way, as far as wildness goes. But, having this whole conversation about death, like I said, it's just kind of... I don't know. There's like a sad element to it. I know Yuji himself was kind of prodding at, like, do you expect to die soon? Like, is that why you're planning this? And she's like, no, I'm not brushing it off. But with just the earlier talk about her having some kind of illness, this really makes you think that maybe she is actually planning an untimely death before she gets to an old age. So we'll have to see where that goes, but we'll keep that in mind. Mitra, of all people, having a sad backstory would be interesting, just because I feel like she's so bubbly. Maybe that's like to try to hide some deeper worry of hers, you know? Anyways, I'm gonna leave my thoughts at that. We'll continue on with whatever's going on next in the next episode. I'll see you guys then.